Yes, we are here once again, and this is the Sports 24 online show. And today, the discussion is going to be very diverse. Three top European club football finals. We have already witnessed two, and the final one is the UEFA Champions League finals between Dortmund and Real Madrid at Wembley. 1st of June, that will be Saturday at exactly 7 p.m. We are going to preview this game. Personally, as a Barcelona fan, I have my favorites. I want one of them to win, and your guess is as right as mine. And so we'll discuss it. Mark Bless Mauto is here. Say Mubarak, the lone striker, who is a goalkeeper, is also here. So, gentlemen, we are going to discuss this game. And so, quickly, let's jump straight. Let me start with Mauto. Let's look at the game. These two sides, they run to the finals. And now in the finals, what do you envisage on the night?
Thank you very much. I think that what we envisage on the night should be a game full of passion. But on a lighter note, as you said, our guests should be as good as yours. We know where you are heading to, but let's understand that this job of football is devoid of sentiment. We don't move with sentiment. Football is about facts and figures. So I'm expecting a night of passion. Because if you look at both teams en route to the final, you have no choice than to say that they both deserve to be there. Because if Madrid can go a whole Champions League season without a loss, it should tell you something. 8 wins and 4 draws. And look at how they bulldoze their way, especially from the quarterfinals to the semi-finals, and now they are in the finals. So if you look at especially the Man City game, coming to look at the Bayern Munich game, you will know that Madrid had really fought really well to get there. On the other hand, we have a certain Dortmund that is appearing, I would say, the second time in 10 years. This season has not been an easy-going season for them domestically. But in the Champions League, you will see that they have also done really well, because throughout this 2023-2024 Champions season, they've also lost just one game. One game. And if you look at the matches they have won and matches they drew, you will attest to the fact that I think they've also drawn about 3 matches, lost 1, and won about 8 matches. So both teams deserve to be there. On paper, a lot of people will say Madrid are favorites, including myself. I would say Madrid are favorites on paper. But go and check their runs, both teams, the goals scored. Madrid will always make sure that they will outscore their opponents. Check Dortmund, it's the same thing they are doing. They make sure they outscore their opponents. So even matches that there are no goals, Dortmund will come up with either one goal just to win the match. Look at the semi-finals they played with PSG. First leg, 1-0. Second leg, 1-0. And the job is done. If you go and check the quarterfinals, when Atletico Madrid beat them 2-1 at home, then you go to the Signal Iduna Park and they are able to come out with 4 goals, and Atletico can get 2. So it will tell you that they are always making sure that they will outscore you. Same applies to Real Madrid. So I will conclude by saying that on the 9th, as we expect passion, the team that appears to be highly desirous, more hungry, will win the Champions League. That is what I can say for now.
Let me also come to you and pick your take on the finals.
Well, definitely we're looking forward to a very great finals. Not much to say in terms of these two clubs meeting in the finals of the UEFA Champions League. But I must admit that if you look at the previous years, you think that Madrid seems to be very near in terms of, qualifying to the finals of the Champions League. This is going to be their 18th appearance in the finals. And of course, we have seen the number of times they have won this competition. Dortmund started as not favorite because many people did not give them, the opportunity to get to where they have gotten to at this particular moment. Arguably, they came through, I would say, the toughest group in the Champions League. You had the AC Milan, you had the Paris Saint-Germain, and Newcastle, who, for about 20 years had not played in Europe, but had done so well last season in the EPL, eventually earning them a position in the Champions League. They had to scale through, to the next stage. And from there, you see the transition, the teams they played that took them to the finals. They were not easy. And of course, the task very, very difficult for, Borussia Dortmund, who, like Mauto said, had not had a very good season domestically. They were not there. Eventually, Edin Terzic side had to finish 5th position in the Bundesliga. It tells you that they had not been very consistent in terms of their performances in the Bundesliga. But of course, they were able to explore, opponents in the UEFA Champions League that eventually took them to where they are at this particular moment. Very surprise package this year, because if you had asked me at the initial stages when the draw of the Champions League came, I wouldn't have added that is Borussia Dortmund as favorite to be in the finals. But of course, determination, commitment by these players has given them that ticket to the finals on Saturday. They are coming up against a very, very strong opponent, I must admit, because if you check the records, look, Real Madrid performances against German opposition in the UEFA Champions League has been very fantastic, 100%. They have just lost 1 out of 13 matches against German oppositions in the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals of UEFA Champions League, and that gives me the motivation that they may want to stamp out their authority once again.
Are you saying Madrid is winning? Because
well, on paper, they are the clear favorite, but many pundits believe that, look, Dortmund, from where they came from, fortunately for them, they still have 1 or 2 experienced players who played in the last finals in the same stadium they are going to play, that is the Wembley, in 2011, when Matt Hummels, of course, was part of the side. Marco Reus is still there with them. And so these are 2 guys who are still part of this setup. And it may kind of give them that nerve that, look, they can do it. Yes, though they lost to Bayern Munich in that particular finals, but they still can rock shoulders with Real Madrid. If they had gone past teams like Atletico Madrid, if they had gone past PSV Eindhoven, if they had gone past Paris Saint-Germain, why can't they do it against, Real Madrid? But Odro, I must be very honest with you. If you look at the Madrid setup, what Dortmund will be lacking in this final is the game-changing players on the bench.
Okay.
Madrid has every aspect of it in their bench. And so it is not going to be an easy job for Carlo Ancelotti's side. But I have the belief that with the qualities that they have, look, they can pick their 15th UEFA Champions League.
Okay, personally, as I said, putting sentiment aside, I would want Dortmund to win this one, and my reason is very simple. If you look at how Dortmund made it to the finals, especially their game against PSG, a PSG side that had infused a lot of money, billions of dollars into their club to make sure they win the UEFA Champions League. And for a Dortmund side with that low budget, beating them and making it to the finals. And this would be the last finals of this current UEFA Champions League format. Next season, we would be looking at the expanded one, with all the controversies around it, the expanded one that will be sort of in a league system. And reading about it and looking at how that format is going to be played, it will be difficult for clubs like Dortmund to win the new format, because to win it, you must have that depth in personnel, in terms of your players, as you said, game-changing players, even on the bench. And so that is what I want to happen this time. That Dortmund, they've been in finals this season, it seems 7th or so in the Bundesliga, 5th in the Bundesliga. This is the only silverware they can win, and that is why I want No, say please. It is not because I am a Barca fan. All these things aside.
Odro, you have said it.
No, wait.
You have mentioned
You
that
see?
anybody could be right as you if he's a Barcelona fan watching.
You see, if it is the Barca Madrid thing in Europe, if Madrid wins, I'll be happy because in my argument for
the best league,
yes, good, and then which league has won more of the Champions Leagues, it still goes back into the Spanish La Liga records. Yeah. But Malto, let's look at game-changing players. Who do you look out for in the Dortmund side and in the Madrid side?
All right, thank you so much, KOD. I think if you look at those teams, both teams, you will think that Madrid will have more of game-changing players because Madrid has a rich bench compared to Borussia Dortmund. Now, let's just take it department by department. If you look at the goalkeeping department, Dortmund are not a match. News coming in today says that it's likely that Andre Lone may not make it to the final because he contracted a flu. But you and I know that the kingpin is back. That is Thibaut Courtois.
But won't his exclusion from the Belgium national team have an effect on him on Saturday?
It has no effect. He has been injured for a major part of the season. Why should they include him in the national team?
Why should he keep for Madrid?
Lune is ill.
Okay.
Contracted a flu.
But I believe that Belgium could have taken... Look, for me, I think he shouldn't even start the game for Madrid.
The fact is that their number one goalkeeper, who stepped into Courtois' shoes, performed really well. But he is sick. So do you expect Kepa to start for them? Kepa is on loan. He's on loan. In fact, Madrid are skeptical of even signing Kepa on a permanent deal. So there's a likelihood that he will return back to Chelsea. So their go-to number one goalkeeper is Thibaut Courtois. And you and I know that at club level, he has been outstanding. Look, the last Champions League they won in 2022, Thibaut Courtois won it for them against Liverpool. It was Thibaut Courtois.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because Liverpool outplayed Madrid. They created more chances. Look at the point-blank save Courtois made. So Courtois won it for them. And at the end of the day, Courtois made the whole world to understand that we need to put some respect on goalkeepers. He made his sentiments and intentions clear. So this is how he feels. We always give the credit to the scorers, the midfielders, sometimes defenders, but we forget about the goalkeeper. But Courtois made us understand that, look, let's give some respect to the goalkeeper. And that is a fact. So Thibaut Courtois will always be Madrid's number one. I believe that even if Lonin makes it to Wembley, Courtois will start the game. That is my belief. Because Courtois is fully fit. He will start the game. And he has been their magic spell as far as the Champions League is concerned ever since Courtois joined Real Madrid. We can't take that away from them. Now, if you are putting Courtois aside, Lonin has been outstanding this season. Guess what? In the quarterfinals against Manchester City, it was Lonin against Manchester City. We all saw what happened in the second leg at the Etihad Stadium, especially in the second half. Look at the saves Andre Lonin was making for Real Madrid. Madrid practically would say that they didn't put up a show as far as outfield players are concerned. So it was a job for the goalkeeper and some of the defenders. So now I move to the defensive department. They have Antonio Rudiger. This man has been outstanding for Real Madrid ever since he joined them. So if you ask me, when Ramos left, people were skeptical. Would Madrid have their defensive pair intact? Then come injuries. Alaba gets injured. Militao gets injured. Especially this season. Then Rudiger will still stand tall. There were days we heard that Rudiger was injured. But this man will play through pain. Rumors has it that he will even take injections to play. Look, Rudiger is a beast. Fast forward. The defensive pair with my own dark horse, Nacho Fernandez. Nacho Fernandez has not been an outstanding or a key player for Real Madrid. He has always been on the bench. This is captain on bench. But anytime duty calls, Nacho Fernandez will step in and he will be outstanding. I'll pause there and look at the Dortmund defense and Dortmund goalkeeper. Look at the Dortmund goalkeeper. Domestically, he's struggling. But in the Champions League, he has been outstanding. So we can say that it is a plus for them as far as the Champions League final is concerned. Then you come to the defensive pair. Look, apart from Matt Hummels, the rest are not a match. Because if you are talking about Nicolas Sule for me, he is fortunate to be playing football. Sule is fortunate to be playing football. Look, Sule is no defender. Sule is no footballer. He is just fortunate. Because when it matters most, Sule cannot do the job for you. So Matt Hummels has been outstanding. Even when it matters most, when I say it matters most, when the goals are not coming, Hummels will be the outstanding star. Just get a set piece and Captain Matt Hummels will appear. So, assuming or granted Matt Hummels gets a bad day, what happens to the Dortmund defense? So they can't match Madrid in defense. You come to midfield, it's a similar story. Real Madrid has the kingpins of midfield. You have the Toni Kroos, you have the Luka Modric, then come Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. Name them. Compare that to the Dortmund midfield. So when we are talking about game changers, Madrid has them. Now, the secret about Madrid here is that so far this season, they have not been playing an out-and-out striker. Joselu has always been on the bench, but Joselu is more or less like a Nacho Fernandez in attack. Anytime duty calls, Joselu comes in and he gets the job done. He came in on loan. Rumors has it that at the end of the season, Madrid is going to make his deal permanent. And he just permanent as a backup striker.
Yeah, but I think he deserves it.
And he's content.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He's content. He's happy. Now, let's go to Dortmund. Dortmund in midfield, they can match. But in attack, we'll say they are superb. They have attackers. And they have an out-and-out striker. Even though this season he has also been out injured for a long while. In the person of Sebastian Haller. But anytime he is fit, when he comes in, he gets the job done. Talk about Fulcrum. Talk about...
striker.
Yes. Yeah. You see? And talk about that Nigerian boy, Adeyemi. Not to forget the Manchester United outcast.
Revitalize.
Jadon Sancho. You see, my fear here is that if these people do not click, or if one of them do not click, it affects the whole Dortmund team. Because Dortmund plays as a team in the Champions League. They don't depend on one person. Look, if Sancho is getting a good day, it's because the whole team is gelling. Our fear or our scare for Sancho is that sometimes when it matters most, Sancho is off. And when he is off, the coaches do not see it earlier. The managers do not see it earlier. Because they are still hoping that I will get the best Sancho back. Before you realize 90 minutes is gone. So, in my earlier submission, I said that it is the team that appears to be more hungrier. Look, Madrid, as far as the Champions League is concerned, has always been hungrier. Look at the number of Champions League trophies they have. But anytime they are playing the Champions League, it's a different story. Look, Madrid can be struggling domestically, but in the Champions League, they are superb.
So, do I get a feeling that you are putting your money on Madrid? Before I go to say.
So with my feeling, I will want you to understand that I am putting my money on Dortmund. Because I believe that Dortmund will come with their A game. Because if you ask me, Dortmund has no plan B. The game changers on the bench are not there. They will throw in their all. They are not relying on Marco Reus. Marco Reus, with his experience in 2013, look, they can't count on it this year. Because this year, this season, they are struggling domestically because Marco Reus have not been there. Marco Reus has not been outstanding. You ask yourself, so if Sancho had not gone on loan, where would Dortmund have been? Because Marco Reus, larger part of the season, has not been supplying, he has not been assisting, he has not been scoring.
All right, let me go to say, let's look at the Madrid attacking lineup. Yesterday or a couple of days ago, we had Jude Bellingham being crowned La Liga Player of the Season. And the talk about the FIFA Player of the Year, the Ballon d'Or winner. You know, Vinicius Junior has been in the news for quite a very long time. Now, my argument is, if we are saying Vinicius Junior, will it even be fair to bring Vinicius in the picture when Madrid themselves have produced a La Liga Player of the Season or Player of the Year in Jude Bellingham? Now, these two boys or these two players, they know all these things come to play. Are they going to outshine each other on Saturday so that whoever carries the team now moves a step closer to winning the Ballon d'Or? Or they will put that personal glory aside, play as a team, and make sure Madrid wins? Would that affect them? That is what I am feeling. I'm feeling that these two players, Vinicius and Jude Bellingham, will try to carry the team, and that will be the downfall of Madrid on Saturday. Let's look at this.
Well, although I'm not seeing it that way, if you look back and you look at the number of assists these players have provided for each other, of course, culminating in the number of goals that have been scored by the two, it tells you that, look, they play as a team but not individual. Yes, though, you understand somebody like Vinicius Junior with his style of play. You understand him that he always wants to be the man in front. He always wants to be the man that everybody should see on the pitch because of his style of play. Look, Jude came from Dortmund not as a striker. We all know his position. He's very comfortable playing behind the strikers. But of course, you go to a team where they play without a striker. So you have that mandate. And he had started the league on a brighter note, you know, scoring fantastic goals, first, second, third, fourth. With the 5 matches in a row, he was scoring. And so the belief that, look, we can add him to our attackers came to form. And Ancelotti put that trust in him that, look, you can join an attack at any point in time. I could make you the playmaker, the libero in the team, roam anywhere you want. But of course, you look at the performances, you look at the drive. When they are moving and you see the assists that they give to each other, it tells you that they are playing as, you know, a unified team, but not just individual. Yes, though, this is a team. For Madrid for years, it has always been like, yes, we have the Galacticos. When things become tough, we expect that these Galacticos will step up. One or two of them should step up and make the difference. And it has been there since. This crop of players has these kind of players. Or this team has these kind of players I'm talking about. Because, look, when you don't even expect Rodrigo to click, that is where he comes in. Yeah. And so they have these players who are even on the bench. Look, I'm so happy that if you talk about the attack, look, on the bench, he mentioned your solo. But I tell you, I am so happy that you have Brahim Diaz. Look, after that splendid performance, Carlo Ancelotti decided that, look, he has done so well in AC Milan. His confidence level has risen. So why don't we keep him? And look, at any point in time he's brought on, he makes the difference. He scored some fantastic goals this season in both Champions League and La Liga for Real Madrid, eventually winning them the La Liga, hoping that he can replicate that in the UEFA Champions League finals against, you know, Dortmund. So, I don't see that. Yes, though, many are touting these two players to be front runners for the Ballon d'Or. Carlo Ancelotti believes that, look, if any player should win the award, it should come from a Real Madrid player. And these are the two that we are looking at to. One will want to outshine the other. But I tell you, if you are a football fanatic, if you're somebody who has followed the game too much, you will not begrudge Vinicius Junior if he's pushing the others up there, because that is his style of play. He's the dancing type. He's the player who wants to entertain the crowd at any point in time. It is not the Jude Bellingham. That is not his style. He's very simple on the ball, try to push his men up front and get the goals, and then they are done. So, for what I have seen, because the statistics are very clear that these two guys, if you combine their goals and assists, it tells you that, look, they are not greedy when it comes to goal scoring or when it comes to giving the ball to an opponent to score. That is where I think that we are not going to have a problem in the UEFA Champions League. These are professionals, and I think with the coach at the helm of affair, it is not going to be the individual who will shine on that day.
So who is winning?
Well, I think that Madrid stand favorite in Saturday's final against Borussia Dortmund. I am not saying that they are going to have it quite easy. I think that Dortmund will have a very, very tough time against Madrid. Look, they also have their best German player in their setup. Julian Brandt was voted the best player in the German Bundesliga. You understand? He mentioned Adeyemi, and on one-on-one situation, look, it will be difficult for a player like Dani Carvajal. You understand? Yes, though they have a very good replacement at that back in Lucas Vazquez. He was talking about the game changers on the bench. For Madrid, they have excellent players, and each position has a one or two player who can do the work as the one on the pitch. And that is why it's still difficult for Florentino Perez and Carlo Ancelotti to take a decision whether they should bring Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich, because they still feel that Ferland Mendy is classified to be one of the best left fullback in the world. Yes, he might be the favorite of the president, Florentino Perez, but I still think that they still have a certain Garcia at the bench who can do the work better. So for me, the qualities at Madrid on the bench, on the field, outweighs what I am seeing in Borussia Dortmund. You have the Emir chance, you have the Marcel Sabitzes, these are physically trained players who when it comes to the physicality aspect of the game, they can, and he was talking about the road to the finals. These were some of the tactics that Dortmund used to get to the finals, because against Paris Saint-Germain in both legs, this is what they used: attack and physical, and they have the players in there. If you get it to Adeyemi and he pushes the ball up front, he has the pace to run over defenders. You understand? And if it comes to the midfield, look, Sabitzer and Chan can give you that toughness. So Madrid will need to be watched out. They need to watch out for these players, because if you have Toni Kroos, who is not that bullying type, okay, very gentle on the ball, it will be difficult to match Sabitzer or Chan. So you will need a certain Chouameni, who unfortunately is out of this particular game. So you have a certain Valverde to do that work in there, because he's very physical. He has the pace to carry on for 90 minutes, 120 minutes. So for me, I think that the qualities are more advanced in terms of what I'm seeing at Real Madrid to that of Borussia Dortmund.
All right, so that is it. Mauto for Dortmund, say for Madrid, Odru for Dortmund.